Ed in Redlands, California. Hey, Ed, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, just a couple things. I was watching the results yesterday, and, in the past, there's always comments that, Hillary's not really a progressive and, she's not in tune to the Sanders, supporters. But, in my opinion, in business, a good leader is one who listens and does make adjustments. And I think Hillary has, I know she has made adjustments. She has changed her opinion, even, on the trade agreement that she once supported. Now she doesn't.
Right. Same with Keystone.
To me, that's a leader. A good leader is when they listen and they begin to move.
Yeah, that's my point.
And
in fact, if I can interrupt you just for a second, Ed, maybe I can give you a little more raw material to work with. My experience in all the years I've been on this planet, which are too many to number on the air, has been that the way politics works is when there is finally, as a result of a lot of grassroots effort, a parade going down the street, in other words, a movement, a visible movement, that's the point at which a politician jumps out in front of that movement, lifts the flag and says, this is my movement. I get it. These people are going someplace. I'm going with them, and I'm going to lead them. And now Bernie has the good fortune, I would say, of having been literally his entire life at the place where most progressives are right now. So he's the perfect candidate for this time, as it were, except for the fact that, he's completely ignored for 6 months by the media, et cetera, et cetera. He's got some serious plus he's going up against somebody who has, probably the most famous woman in the world, or one of the top 5. And so he's always been there. But for Hillary to move there, that's a wonderful thing. That's something that not only do we need to congratulate, but we need to finish Bernie's revolution, keep his movement alive, so that we can be the ones who hold Hillary Clinton to these positions. Back in 2008, President Obama gave a speech to the AFL-CIO. We've played it on this show, where he said the first thing he was going to do as president is call together the presidents of Mexico and Canada and renegotiate NAFTA, and that the AFL-CIO would always be at the table when there's trade negotiations. That turned out not to happen. And nobody held him accountable for it. We should have. And, so I think that, if she says these things now and she becomes president, we need to hold her to it. And that's a good thing. Ed, back to you. I'm sorry, my interruption.
I agree. And one other thing I'd like to make a comment, the importance, the Bernie's people always talk about this revolution. Well, as a revolution, just because if, for instance, Bernie may not win the nomination, that doesn't mean the revolution needs to stop. You got to start, like you've pounded everyone. Local elections, county elections, state elections. I mean, that's how you win a revolution. That's how you make change in a country with a revolution.
It always comes from the bottom up,
lower levels.
Yep.
And
if it comes from the top down, it's not called a revolution, Ed. It's called a coup.
Correct. That's correct. That's correct. And that's what I think the Bernie people need to really understand is you want to make change, go to the school districts, go to your city council members, go wherever there is an election and make a difference. That's
right.
How you
and that was my point about how Bernie speaks to 10,000 people, 1,000 of them become activists, a half a dozen of them become candidates. Yeah. And now you've got Bernie being replicated. There's a whole generation of young Bernies out there. We don't know their names yet. We don't know who they are. But I guarantee you within 5 years at the most, they're going to start appearing on ballots. They're as candidates, and they're going to be people who were brought into this movement by Bernie Sanders, and they were brought into the Democratic Party, many of them, by Bernie Sanders. And that's something that frankly, all Democrats should be very, very grateful for. If Bernie ends up going back to the Senate as one of the most powerful senators, that's not a terrible thing. On the other hand, like I said, there still is a very small chance that he can make this. But I think it's so small that we really need to be thinking in terms of moving the party forward, if that makes sense.
And we need to think about 2018. Don't
Yes.
forget that as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
And
it's not
just
over. This year's not over.
Right, and it's not just 2020 as the next presidential election. It's 2018 as the midterm, and that's where we got creamed the last couple times because our own people didn't show up. And I think they didn't show up because President Obama didn't have a movement. He had a campaign. It was a brilliant campaign in 2008 and 2012. They were both brilliant campaigns, but the movement, in 2008 we thought a movement was beginning, and in some ways there's some issues that he has moved really, really well forward, but the broader movement, that's where we need to be focusing our efforts, is on movement politics. Ed, thank you for the call. Well said. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here, and please be sure to hit the handy dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.